Hi friends, I am going to share today about Heart of Dakota's Bigger Hearts for His Glory. This is a biographical approach to American history from 1500s to 1970s. It's for ages 7 to 9, but that it's more based on skill level. So if you would like to know if this guide would best fit your kid, I will go to the Heart of Dakota website and check out the placement chart to make sure. I've used this in the past for second grade. For my oldest, I've used it for second and third grade. We just kind of stretched it out doing some other stuff. And then this year my daughter is going to be using it for third grade. So I'm going to share my review of the guide, the resources that they use, and then also how I set up my daughter's notebook for this year. I'm going to share about some science pages that I made for her. It will be available on my blog, simplyreid.wordpress.com. You can go download them there for free if you choose to. We have used just a regular sketchbook in the past. Either way is perfectly fine. My goal is just to streamline our school this year because I will have 4 homeschooled aged. I'll have my youngest is 6, my oldest is 11, and then I have an infant too. So I've got to work on independence and streamlining this year. That's our goal. And so without further ado, I will share about Heart of Dakota's Bigger Hearts for His Glory. So this is what the inside of the guide looks like. The left side of the page is learning through history. A lot of these things tie in to the history topic. And then the right side of the page is the learning through basics. This is going to be your language arts, math, and science. The science topics still loosely tie in with the history topics. It has a very unit study-like feel. I'm going to just go through each of these boxes and explain a little bit about them. I'm going to start over here, history, and go down this page, and then science, and then we'll go back up and we'll talk about each one and the resources that each box uses and how we use them in our homeschool. So these are the texts that are used for history. A First Book in American History, Stories for Great Americans, The Wright Brothers and Their Sisters, and then Journeys in Time. These books have a little bit older type language in them, so it may take a little while to get used to them, but after you kind of get used to the way that they read, the stories are really engaging and interesting, and my kids really seem to enjoy them. A reading each day would be something like this page, and this page, and then the following day you would like finish up the story. So they're 2 to 3 pages each day reading out of these books. Then you have The Wright Brothers and Their Sister. This is actually the last book that's used. This is a very sweet story, and it's really engaging, and my kids it definitely doesn't read like a history text. It reads more like a story. And then Journeys in Time. They absolutely love this. Actually, my son just came by and said, "Oh, I love that book," when I pulled it out. And this book, you read the story that goes along with it, and then these numbered boxes, they can follow along in the map. And so it has beautiful pictures, and the kids really enjoy these books. All of these are great stories. They're not necessarily Christian texts. I mean, I think this one's written by Christian Liberty Press. But Carrie always does a great job of taking any resource and turning it back to Christ, and that's one of the things that I love about Heart of Dakota. So this will tell you what you would read for history that day. And then this box rotates different topics. So this is a geography. And then day 2 is going to be an artistic expression. Then day 3 is going to be vocabulary. Day 4 is another activity. This is usually a hands-on type activity. And then day 5 of every week is a timeline and then a notebooking assignment for your child to do. So there's actually no reading history on day 5. It's just the notebooking assignment. But then they have these little key ideas below that I like to read after I read the assignment. Columbus believed the earth was round and he wanted to find a faster route to get to China. Columbus believed that he could reach China by sailing west across the Atlantic Ocean. And this was a brave new idea. So I just like to read these. And this goes in maps in Columbus's times looked very different from the maps that we have now. Explorers are still learning about the earth, so maps were not accurate. So again, all of these things tie in together. So that's the reading about history in this rotating box. Poetry. So the poetry are in the appendix of the guide. This is what one of the poems looks like. It just flips to the back of the book, and then you would read this with your student. And then now I can say that we don't always do the poetry, but I think my daughter will enjoy it. So I'll probably spend a little bit more time this year reading through the poems. I mean, even if I don't do the assignment, sometimes I'll just read through it real quick with them just to give them exposure to it. Now the next box on this page is the Bible study. I love the Bible study in Bigger because each week or each unit focuses on a character trait. This week focuses on persistence. And so your student will look up the definition of persistence, and then you will look up this Bible verse, and this is the Bible verse that they will be memorizing all week long. And then you will have these great discussions with them. Why would it take persistence to look for the silver and search for hidden treasure? So you just talk about this Bible verse with your kids. And then I love that she ties it back to the history reading. So Columbus went to Portugal to persistently pursue his dream of finding a new route to Asia. So we're tying in the Bible to every subject that we're learning about, which is what the Bible does. I mean, it relates to all things in life, so I love that. The corresponding music, the hymns for a child's heart. Now, I'm not doing this year. It's just hard for me to keep up with this CD, and it's an extra reading. But it's definitely, the stories are good. I think my daughter would enjoy the hymn, though, so I'll probably just look up Holy, Holy, Holy on Spotify and let her listen to it. But I probably am not going to do this. But if that's something that interests you, absolutely, go for it. That's the beauty in homeschooling. What doesn't work for me may work for you, and you should do definitely what you would enjoy or your kids would enjoy. Okay, so let's talk about the right side of the page. This is your learning the basics page. So we're going to start with science, and then I'm going to work my way up. So science this is the first guide that it's every day of the week, and so they will rotate between a narration. So they'll read these pages and narrate, and then they will have a notebooking assignment, and then they will have an experiment that they do, and some more narration, and then another science activity. So let me show you the books that are used with science. So these are the books that are used with Bigger Hearts for His Glory. These One Small Square books, my children love these books. They are so colorful, and the kids really find these stories interesting and the facts interesting about these animals. So this is what they look like. And this would be your typical reading in a day, just like these 2 pages. And I'm actually having my daughter read this independently this year because she's a great reader. All of my kids will be doing science independently this year, and I'll just be assisting with notebooking pages or experiments. So these are the books that you have: One Small Square Seashore, One Small Square Woods, very similar to the other one. This one's just about the woods. And then Science in Colonial America. This one can be a little bit drier than the other ones, but it's still great. Stories are good, interesting, and they relate back to history, and I really enjoy that. And it does have great pictures. Now, this is probably one of my favorite books that we have ever used. All of my kids love this book. This is a story about the daily life of a pioneer family. So it starts in the beginning of how they settle in where they choose to, and then how they build their house and what their house looks like. And as you read through and learn about them and how they live in the pioneer life, you're learning about, cooking, and then fire, and then you're doing experiments about different things. This is about maple sugaring, and after the story, let's see if I can find you learn about the anatomy of the tree and how the maple syrup comes out, and then you may end up doing an experiment. Here's how the sweet tapping, or how you would make syrup, or how it doesn't freeze in the winter. That's what this is about. So this book is great. All of my kids absolutely love it. And again, it just reads like a story. And that's another one of the reasons I love Heart of Dakota, because their books are so engaging. They're not textbooks. They're storybooks or smaller books, and my kids love that. We've tried a more textbook approach. We tried master books once, and it just wasn't for us, and that's okay. Every family is different, but my kids absolutely love having these books, using these books for science. The last book that's used is a biography of Thomas Edison. This series of books, Childhood of Famous Americans, is very engaging. We have several of these biographies, and Heart of Dakota uses them, and each of my kids find them really, really interesting and easy to follow along with. So those are the texts that are used for science. I'm going to flip back open to the guide, and we'll go through the other things that are on the page. So we actually don't use primary mathematics. We use Christian-like mathematics. It just works better for my daughter. She needs the repetition, and so we really enjoyed that. The reading, we also don't use Drawn into the Heart of Reading. I do have the book packs, not the actual program, but the packs that they recommend. And I do have my kids read through those as a part of independent reading, and they love each of the books. So I highly recommend just getting the books as independent readers for your kids, even if you don't want to do the program. But I think there's a lot of literature in the program overall, so I really don't think you need Drawn into the Heart of Reading, especially at this level. But again, whatever works for your family. So if you want your child to have that, absolutely go for it. Story time. So there you will choose, I don't know what it is, not 10 books, something like 8 books maybe throughout the year. Every 20 days you will pick a different genre of book: biography, fantasy, humor, historical fiction, realistic fiction, and you will read through those with your student. And actually, I think this is a little repetitious of the reading, because you're learning things like, this is a biography. What is it? What is a biography? And as your student reads, they're going to narrate back to you about what you've read. And then they're going to learn things like characters are people in the story. Who is the most important character? So those are kind of, it's a little bit repetitious, especially if you're doing Drawn to the Heart of Reading and there's so much literature. But again, if that's something you want to do with your kid and they would enjoy it, absolutely look into that program. And finally, language arts. So there's a lot of language arts that's tied into Heart of Dakota. There's notebooking assignments and vocabulary. So there's a lot of language arts already included, but these are more specific to English. So this is also the first guide that English is done every day. So they use Rod and Staff English. If you'd like to see how we use this, you can go to my Instagram page, Simply Read Homeschool, and I have in the stories highlights saved how we actually do this each and every day. But it's pretty simple to do with your kid. You would just read through the lesson with them, and then we would do these usually orally or on a whiteboard, and then I would just have them write maybe one of the sections. So I would just have them write the 3 sentences. But it's super simple. I absolutely love Rod and Staff for that. And just because it's for 2nd grade doesn't mean that you have to use it. We're using it for 3rd grade this year because this is a really advanced curriculum. So I highly recommend, don't press it with your kid. I mean, they're going to learn all the things they need to learn. So just make it easy, and they will enjoy it and they'll absorb so much more. So the handwriting curriculum they use is cheerful cursive. Man, that's a mouthful. I've used this a couple times now, and my kids really like it, and it's great. And by the end of the year, they're writing cursive. She kind of already knows how to do it, but she just needs a little more practice, so I'm going to have her go through it again. And then finally, the last, I don't know if that's every day, maybe it is every day. Spelling or dictation is the last thing I'm going to cover. So in the back of the book, let's flip back here and look. So in the back of the book, you've got your spelling lists. This is like the 2nd spelling list that would be in the back of Beyond, but we've already done that. So actually, we're not going to do the spelling list this year. She's starting in dictation. If you would like to see how we do that, you can also go to my Instagram page. I have a story highlight of how we go through and we do these each and every day. But she gives you an explanation of how to do this with your kid. And this actually works really well. I've seen it is very effective. You don't have to have a workbook, and we would just use our composition book for this in English, and it works great. So also in the appendix is different story time titles, and then if you're doing this scheduled books for emerging readers, that's also in here. And then she gives you some tips for narrating if your child is new to narration and not really sure how to do it, or you're new to narration. You've got this checklist of how to do it with your kids. And I also have that on my Instagram page as well if you're interested and looking. Just go over there and follow me and look through my highlights, and then you'll find about narration and dictation and how we use it in our homeschool. I was really trying to keep this video short, but I'm having a hard time fitting all the information in. But this is the last thing I want to show you. This is my student notebook. This is for her. It's just a 1.5-inch binder that I got from Walmart or Target or something. And eventually I'm going to get the Staples Better binders. I just haven't done it yet. So I've separated it into these categories. You have history, Bible, vocab, science, and math and reading. These are for our CLE that she's using for this year. It's just a test. But I've separated it into these 4 categories: history, Bible, vocab, and science. And with this guide, you have the notebooking pages that are available on the Heart of Dakota website. So I've just put those in here in page protectors. Then for the Bible section, the different character traits, I created this page where she's just going to write the definition of persistence. I'm going to have her write out the Bible verse because it'll help her memorize it, and then draw a picture if she wants of something about persistence. This part they do actually in the guide, but this is just a little bit extra. I think that she would enjoy doing this though, and I think it would help her to not understand it, to memorize it better or remember it better. Vocab. So this will be what she does for vocab. I'll just write the word here. She'll write out the definition, a sentence with it, and then draw a little picture of it. That's in the guide, but I created this sheet. You could do it in a composition book, though. You don't need this sheet. And then last but not least, I've created some science notebook pages for her. I'm just trying to streamline our year because I've got 4 kids. I'm homeschooling and an infant. So here are the pages. This will be for her note picking assignment. She'll probably just write a Bible verse here, I think is what it is in the guide, and then draw a picture of something that's inside, following the instructions inside the guide. Just use these pages to help streamline it a little bit. And this is what these look like. These pages, the Bible pages, and the vocab are all available on my blog, simplyreid.wordpress.com. And finally, this is the timeline that's used throughout the year. It also comes with the notebooking pages. You just tape it together. And then the student uses the timeline throughout the year to keep track of what they've learned. So I hope this is really helpful. If you have any questions, leave comments below. Go to my blog. Follow me there. You can ask some questions or my Instagram page. So I hope this was super helpful, and thank you so much.